Almost everyone knows how World War I began. Archduke Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, who was originally the crown prince of this empire, was traveling with his wife in a car in Sarajevo, Bosnia. His driver takes a wrong turn into a street, so they are forced to stop and reverse back toward the main road. During this stop, he was assassinated by Gavrilo Princip, a 19-year-old Serbian. Because the assassin was a young Serbian, the Austro-Hungarian Empire attacked Serbia. At that time, Russia was an ally of Serbia, so it attacked Austria-Hungary in support of the Serbs. Austria-Hungary also had allies, the most important of which was Germany, so the Germans also entered the war against Russia. That is how a driving mistake ignited a war that put the lives of many young people at risk. This is how Germany became heavily involved in the war, and in addition to attacking Russia, also invaded France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. If you look at Germany's war map at that time, you will see that 750,000 German troops were fighting on the Western Front, namely in the Netherlands, Belgium, and especially France. The Germans were rapidly advancing on French and Belgian territory. They were not only fighting the French, but also facing British and Belgian forces who were supporting the French. After advancing about 70 kilometers into French territory, the Germans encountered a strong defensive line of soldiers, and their advance was halted. On the Eastern Front, the Russians entered Prussia, and Germany was forced to retreat into its own territory in order to surprise the Russians. In the Belgian front as well, the Germans went too far, and since they were allied with France, carried out large-scale massacres in which women and children were also among the victims. This event caused Belgians who had somewhat good relations with the Germans to gradually become enemies of Germany. This hostility was detrimental to the Germans because the Belgians made things difficult for them on the Western Front in their own territory. This period in history is known as the Rape of Belgium. Of course, the British also played an important role in portraying it as brutal because they were very strong in media and propaganda in Europe. They portrayed the German image in Europe, in newspapers and press, as if it were like a devil. On the Eastern Front, the Russians had advanced significantly, and the Germans were forced to retreat deep into their own territory. It should be noted that during this advance, the Russians had become very exhausted and were significantly weakened in terms of morale and weaponry. The reason for this weakening was unrest in their country and the fact that the Bolsheviks were in the process of overthrowing the government. The Russian soldiers also lost morale when they saw that their government was even struggling to provide them with food. Nikita Khrushchev was also a soldier from that period who declared, "I will not fight for this government." Another problem Russia had was that they did not know how to encrypt their telegrams so that if they fell into enemy hands, they could not be read. As a result, much of their information was read by the Germans, and they knew exactly what plans they had. The German general on this front was Paul von Hindenburg, who knew exactly what the Russians were going to do. Hindenburg was 70 years old during this period, and as an army general, he had held this rank for half a century. After reading the Russian telegram messages, he decides to launch a surprise attack on them. The German plan, under General Hindenburg, was to attack from the left and right and encircle the Russians over a wide area. In a matter of hours, the Russians, who had been hoping to advance into German territory, found themselves encircled by the Germans. In 4 days, the Germans killed 120,000 Russian troops and took 50,000 of them as prisoners. This planning and victory, known as the Battle of Tannenberg, made Germany appear to the world as a superpower. Hindenburg became a hero in German history because of this victory. This victory greatly boosted German morale, while Russian morale was significantly weakened, and this situation helped strengthen the Bolshevik Revolution. Let's move on to the empire that started this war, namely Austria-Hungary. They were essentially doing very little because compared to powers like Germany, Russia, and France, their strength did not stand out. Russia continued to support Serbia, and the Serbs, throughout their history, were among the most resilient warriors and did not surrender easily. That is why the Serbian front became a quagmire for Austria-Hungary. This Serbian resistance had led Austria-Hungary to commit widespread violence and massacres in Serbia. But this violence was ineffective, and the Serbs were defending their own territory. It is not exactly clear, but it is said that around 10,000 civilians were killed by Austria-Hungary in the streets within 2 weeks. And the Battle of Tannenberg, which is not only one of the greatest battles in history, is also considered the record for the fastest defeat of a superpower. In other words, a 150,000-strong Russian army was destroyed in 4 days. The Russians were so demoralized by this defeat that their general, Alexander Samsonov, not wanting to return to Russia nor be captured by the Germans, committed suicide. And thus, the Tannenberg disaster for the Russians was sealed and entered history. Thank you for watching this episode of Historic Play. If you enjoy deep dives into history, wars, empires, and the events that shaped our world, make sure to subscribe and join our growing community. Until the next video, this is Historic Play signing off.